Welcome to a new game discovery. This is Final Factory. Think a bit about Factorio or games like this. You're going to have to build a giant factory. You're also going to have RTS elements. You're building a fleet. You're going to need to defend your factories. But instead of being on one planet, you're actually all over the universe. You're going to discover the universe. There's a lot of cool details, some pretty interesting visuals, a huge scale. So let me show you what this game is all about. This is not a sponsored video, but as always I got a free key from the developers to test this game and showcase it to you, so big thanks to the developers. I will put the Steam page to this game in the video description below, and there is actually a free demo for this game that is available. Now I'm not going to show you this demo exactly, I'm going to show you the alpha build. So I have access to more things, but as I said, this is alpha, this is not ready yet. They are talking about a release toward end of summer though, so it's definitely coming. Right now we don't have a lot of settings, but the one thing we do have is every world that you're going to try is going to be a different one. You know, we can change the seed, so there's some replayability here. We can also change a bit the enemy difficulty, so if you want to be a bit chill, you can change that. Let's dive right in. Okay, and this is me. This is my small vessel. I can move it around. You know, there is AWSD. We can also unzoom a bit to see the universe. This is the non-universe, right? There is 3 asteroids, an iron one, a bauxite one, and over here a silica asteroid. But as I said, this is the non-world. We can go and discover more of the world. If you see that, we are actually discovering here some enemies. We need to be careful. We can use space to accelerate. Oh, there's something there. An ancient portal. Ooh, some more enemies. So the universe is definitely going to be a lot bigger than this. Now let's talk a bit more about the UI. We have the minimap at the bottom over here, right? I can see the 3 asteroids. Then there's a lot of shortcuts. These shortcuts are power for my vessel over here. So for example, as I said, space is going to accelerate, or C is a blast. And then these are construction shortcuts. We're gonna dive into that in the future. Then at the top, I see the health of my ship. Here I see my fleet. You know, my fleet is limited to 10 ships right now, but of course we're gonna improve that with research. Look at research in a second. Then we have different vehicles over here. This will be, for example, my research vehicle. And yes, as I said, there is a tech tree, right? You can see over here. I'm sure we'll get more in the future. But here's some interesting research to unlock more things, including, as I said, increasing the fleet. So for example, this one, increasing personal fleet capacity by 20, and you can do more and more. And then last thing before we dive into is another thing that I haven't seen a lot of games do so far, which I think is really good, is you can play a video to see this tutorial in action. You know, I can see what is needed. I mean, this is the first step of the tutorial, so that's actually super easy. But when, you know, this is something where you have multiple steps, this gets a bit harder. So let's start following it a bit so I can show you the basics of the game. The first one is we need to mine. And like all factory games, you know, at the beginning we need to mine sort of manually. I just did right click to mine, and then I'm moving around to take all of the mining resources in my inventory. If I press E, I get into my inventory. You can see over here, this is my bauxite ore, 88. If we mine a bit more, this is going to increase, right? We can see the numbers too. Now we're at 147. So we have, you know, mined some resources manually. Of course, being a factory building, you know, the goal is going to be to automate all of this, so we don't have to do it manually. But we're not there yet. Before, I feel a bit naked, you know, I'm all alone. So I'm going to create some ships to protect me into combat ships over here. Right now I only have one. In the future we'll have many others, of course. I want some bat. You can see what is needed. We need a small ship core to make it. I don't have it, but what's really great is that, of course, you know, if I have the raw materials to make the small ship core, this is going to be made. It's going to take time. This is not automated, right? You can see it over here, but now it is done. We have one ship protecting us. And again, this is the very basic one, so I know you're not impressed. Now I do have the recipe to make those small ship cores. So if I want, I can make them. I can make, you know, reserve. To make them, I will need low density structures and AI controllers. I don't have that, but once again, it's fine because I have a recipe to make them. So again, I can, click a couple of times where it's going to make the raw materials or the intermediate materials before making the cores. It doesn't take a lot of time, this is a very basic one. And of course, again, in the future, we can automate all of this, right? I can automate the intermediate production of those small chip cores. But to do that, first I'll need to automate the components themselves, right? As I said, this one over here requires 5 low density structures. So first I'll have to automate the low density structure recipe. So let's build a few more so we can be protected. So now if I move, they move with me. I can also ask them to stop somewhere to protect my city, but for now, I'm just gonna keep them with me. And we have also unlocked a new power over here, as you can see, pressing V, which will, so let's do it. The bats will go into a frenzy into the target area. So maybe let's actually use that. Oh, they went into a frenzy over here. You can see they're moving there. Now let's test the plasma bolt, which is with C, you can aim and then you just click and send those plasma bolts. Oh, let's protect ourselves. Delete this structure, perfect. So this is the very basic combat. By killing some of those enemies, we got some research points. So we can do our first, which is mining logistics to unlock items for the automation of mining. Let's research it and start building it, right? This is where we get into the really good stuff. We're going to press E again to get into my inventory and crafting element. And we have unlocked this mining station recipe. As the name suggests, this is a very important one to automate mining. So let's build a couple. Oh, they actually only want one, but I'm always an overachiever. I'm gonna build 2. Now we need a construction bot. This is what's going to actually build things for us because we're a military ship, right? We don't get our hands dirty. But now that we have it, we can go closer to an asteroid. You can press E and see that we have in our inventory those mining stations. Clicking on it, you can drag it and also put it on your shortcuts. So now if I want, I don't even have to go into E. I can just press 6 and I have a mining station. If I press it over here, this is way too far from the asteroid, so it's not gonna work. But over here, you can see it becomes green. So perfect, let's make one. It is working or not, because there is this red warning, no power. Yes, there is no power indeed. We need some solar panels for electricity, right? This is what happens in space. So same as before, I could press E and see them in my inventory, but I also have a shortcut, this is number 3, and I can press them anywhere I want, but obviously I want them to be connected to my mining station, right? So put them next to it, you see the arrow, here it is, 1, 2, 3, perfect. Oh no, this is not perfect. Why? It is under construction. Why? Because I don't actually have one, right? But this is basically sort of blueprint mode if you wish. So as soon as I build one, either because I have a factory to build a solar panel or because I build one manually doing like this, then this is going to be built by my construction bot. So I really like that. I think, blueprint is always great. But yeah, now we have this mining station, but this mining station has no bots. We need some bots. So let's do it. This is this one over here, the miner bots. We're gonna build 4 because there is a limit, This mining station can only have 4 for now. So I'm building 4, they're going to be assigned directly because I'm very close to it. If I were very far, they would stay with me. And as soon as I would get close, they would be assigned. And now they're mining. You can see the inventory of the mining station is increasing. We're getting some bauxite for free. So I can now click on it to get it into my own inventory, my player inventory, right? So this is obviously very basic, but we have a first automation. So let's start building some connectors. With those connectors, we're going to be able to transport resources from one building to another. I'm actually going to build a couple. I'm sure we're gonna need more in the future. The resources will flow following the arrows, right? So you rotate it like this, and now you can see the resources flowing somewhere, like this way. And now I'm going to build a cargo hold to actually get all of these resources stored into something. So it is a cargo hold. Perfect. And this cargo hold has a huge storage. I mean, huge compared to this one I meant. Right? This one was limited to 100. Now we can put 400. So that's perfect. And with this, we can move to our next research. Atomic printing. Unlock the atomic printer for automatically creating components. So as I said, this is really critical for us to start making those components over here automatically. For example, the low density structures, this require bauxite. We have bauxite there, perfect. I guess that makes sense. Uh-oh, we have another problem. Warning, station unstable. Don't worry, we're gonna correct that in a minute, but just before that, we researched the atomic printer, right? So let's build one. This is actually a slightly bigger building, as you can see. And so my problem of stability is getting worse. Before I needed 1 more of stability, now I need 3 more stabilities. Yeah, that's getting worse. We're gonna fix that, don't worry. But before we do, I actually have an even more pressing problem, which is that this thing is gonna explode soon. There is no heat exchanger. The heat is staying inside, that's not good. So let's build this heat exchanger. Good. Now to stabilize this whole thing, we need a core, a station core that is going to provide more stability, as I said. So let's build it over here and perfect. Now this is working. This is flowing. This is going over here. But we're missing one very important element, which is I haven't told the printer what to do. So let's select the low density recipe. And now this is almost working because it seems like we are missing some electricity. If I click on the station, I can see the power and the heat. But we also have the problem that we don't have enough electricity. If I go into power over here, right, we need 17 and I'm only producing 15. So that's not too bad. We only need 1 more. Let's build it over here. Cool. Okay, so now this is restarting. Now we do have one problem, is that now the output is sort of stuck, right? We need to make sure that it goes somewhere. So let's build an exit for this. We need to filter because there's multiple resources now, right? We have the bauxite and we have the low density structure. What I want is the low density structure to come out. That's what's coming out. Perfect. Okay, so now looking at the station, if I click on power, I can see that I'm producing 30. I only need 22. So that's perfect. And heat, my heat sink is taking care of 1 Celsius per second. I only have 1 heat producer, which is this one printer, which is 0.5, so we're good. We are dissipating more than what we're producing. Perfect over here. Oh, look at this. It is exploding. These miners indeed have also sort of a life expectancy, so at some point they will get broken. So this is also something we want to automate at some point. You want to automate to have always new miners being built and sent to those asteroids. There's a core to make sure that we have a lot of stability. You can see we have 95 of stability, so we can make this a lot bigger, and we're good on everything else over here. We get some bauxite, the bauxite flows over here, then it's transformed into those low density structures, and the low density structures are going into this cargo hold. And then, as I said, in the future, we're gonna use these low density structures to do many things, right? So for example, to then make some small ship cores. And then with that, we can make some ships, either working ships or combat ships, or many things that we're going to unlock, right? This is just the beginning. Okay, so that was for bauxite, right? Our first resource. We have some other ones, so we should do the same. Don't worry, you don't need to manually do it. What you can just do is Ctrl+C, copy whatever you want to copy, and here it is. We have a new one. So then we can place it, close by over here. Perfect, that seems good. And here it is. Now whatever we have in stock will be built automatically. What we don't have in stock will stay like this. All right, so we need to start building those things. Now we don't have factories yet to build all of those things, so we need to go into E and build it ourselves. What else are we missing? I think we're missing one of these. Okay, so now we have a new functioning mine. We just need some miners bots. So here it is. I do have one more over here. Sometimes they don't fly right away, but you can just click over here to make sure that it goes. And yeah, we obviously can do now exactly the same. Ctrl+C and rotate it over here so that we have the 3rd asteroid finalized. We do need, I think, a lot more things. Yeah, let me build just one of each. And again, a couple of miners. And now we have automated basic productions. Obviously over here we're making those low density structures. Here we cannot make low density structure. That doesn't make any sense because you need bauxite and we're producing silica. But we could make something else. For example, this solid laser recipe. So let's do that. Now this is working. And we also need to change over here the filter to move over there. Perfect. And yeah, we're making some now. Similarly over here, we're getting iron. So we need to change the recipe. We can change it to be the medium density structure. Okay, so we're mining some resources. We're transforming those resources into basic components. But that's not enough, right? We need to start doing things with it. We also need to start transporting many of those things. The first transport is called the insert bot. A very simple one. We're gonna move into something more complex very soon. So as you can see, this is going to transport resource between the first circle and the second. Then an arrow, so it goes in one direction. For example, like this, right? Picking up the resources, and if I have something over there, it will deliver it. So let's put, for example, another over there, and it has transported from here to there. Now this one is not working because it doesn't have electricity. Let's just give it some electricity. Perfect. So now it will go back and forth, transport all of my resources into this one, right? This is increasing slowly but surely. But you know, space is big. I mean, yes, the space between those two asteroids is not that big, but imagine for the other asteroids we're gonna discover, that's gonna be very far. So we need better transport. The next one is the cargo logistic. This one is a bit bigger, but requires some logistic bay recipes. So let's build that first. I'm gonna place this logistic bay in the range of these things. So for example, over there. Right, we do need electricity once again. Perfect. Then I'll build a drone. Well, actually, let's build two to be ready for the future. And now we can place this one. As you can see, the range is a lot bigger. It's basically as big as the distance between those two asteroids. So, you know, it starts with this bay and it will go somewhere else. For example, all the way over here, as you can see, it can transport a lot more. It does need to go into something else, right? Another bay. So let's put it over here. Solar panel. And now it has delivered. Here it is. A lot quicker, can transport a lot more. And then the resources can continue their way. For example, over here, you know, I can do this and put a cargo hole. So now we're mining the silica, transforming into this laser and then transporting it all the way over here so that it can then be merged with another resource over here. Let's unlock now the ship assembly. With this, we can automate the construction of ships. Now, as the name suggests, in the ship assembler, I can choose which ship to start building. Right now, let's make some minor bots to automate this production, because also those minor bots are not too hard. They require some solid state laser and some low density structures. Oh, we were making low density structures before, right? We're making them over here. We need to transport them there. So we're basically going to use something a bit like this, right? So we're gonna have a bay door over here, right? We need to connect it with just one simple connector. Good, now it is connected. Then we need to use the long range drone. That's going to start over here and go all the way over there, right? And it needs to go over here into this bay. Perfect. And then from this bay, we need to go over here. We could have a lot of connectors, or we can have one of those interceptors. Now, a transport vehicle would have been a lot smarter, to be honest, because this is costing me a lot of electricity, but I wanted to show you that you can. So now we're bringing the laser and the low density structure, so we're able to make boats as long as we can send them somewhere. Right now, they have nowhere to go, those boats. So we need to build a fleet navigation center, and it's going to enable me also to redirect all of those ships. As you can see, we have lines between this new fleet center and my mining station. For example, if I put it over here, you see that we don't have a line to this one anymore. If I put it over here, we have line to all of them. So that means it can deliver bots to all of them. If I put it over here once again, it will only deliver to this one. So that wouldn't be great. So let's put it there in the middle. It's getting built. It does need some electricity, like pretty much everything. You know, this is 5 of power. So let's add a couple. I have 4 miners there, 4 there, and 4 there. So there's nowhere to send any of these. But as soon as one of them will explode, hopefully we'll see it very soon. Please explode. You'll see a new one being created and sent to replace it right away. Of course, as I say that, none of them is exploding. So let me show you another way. Is just I'm gonna take one of them to come to me. So now I have 2 with me, and a new one is sent immediately to replace. Perfect. Now, so far we've been mostly gaining science points by doing quests over here, right, following the objectives. That's not sustainable. We need to start developing this, which will be a new type of boats. So let's research that and make them. And once again, it's pretty smart to make sure that it is in range of your fleet assembly port, so that anytime we automatically build some of those research boats, they can be delivered. And then of course we can assign all of the boats that we have. Perfect. We still have one more over here if needed. Now they have started to produce some research points for us. This is what you can see over here. We're getting more and more research points thanks to this. Now, as I said before, the universe is big, because if you press M, you get into the overall map. Everything to build so far is only over here. We can build everywhere, right? This is going to be defended, as we saw over here. There is also special buildings. So there's much more to be done, but this is the end of the tutorial. It doesn't mean it's finished, right? We're still going to get more objectives to help us go forward. So far, we've only automated simple components because they only needed one element, right? For example, this one needed bauxite. If you look over here, this needs silica and iron. So this is already a bit more complex. Similarly over here, bauxite and iron, silica and bauxite. And this is just for the components. Then we need to build the intermediates, right? Like the small ship cores. Then we can have more ship assemblies to build all of this automatically, or combat ship automatically. Then we can automate the construction of all of those things here. In particular, things like solar panel, you know you're gonna need a lot, so best to automate them. But there's also some great tools to do that. We have Control C to copy some parts. We even have Control X to move things. And then there's a lot more research. For example, we can automate defense platforms. A new type of power, antimatter power. But I think that's a good end for this first game discovery of Final Factory. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Is this something that you want to see more on the channel? Do you want me to show you everything that is in this alpha build? Do you want this game to be showcased again when there is big updates, when you get closer to the early access or full release? Is this something you'll be buying? I'd love to hear your thoughts once again in the comments below. Feel free to also share names of other games you want me to showcase on the channel. Smash the like button and I hope to see you next time.